Geneva, late 1960s. A Brooklyn-born salesman with a psychology degree and a genius for the hard sell has built something the go-go decade cannot stop talking about. Investors Overseas Services, IOS, a mutual fund empire spanning 100 countries, 15,000 salesmen, and roughly $2.5 billion under its story. His name is Bernie Cornfeld, and his recruiting line will outlive his company. Do you sincerely want to be rich? It is not a whisper in a back room. It is a lifestyle, castles, models, private jets, the whole performance of wealth as proof that wealth is coming. For a few blazing years, Cornfeld is called the king of Europe's cash. Then the market turns, the empire cracks, and a different kind of man, Robert Vesco, arrives offering rescue. What Vesco brings is not rescue. It is a vacuum cleaner. Tonight, the mutual fund carnival that taught a generation to sell belief door to door, and left the door open for the greatest looter of the wreckage. Bernard Cornfeld is born in 1927, grows up in Brooklyn, studies psychology, and discovers that the American dream, sold correctly, is the best product on earth. In the mid-1950s, he builds IOS, incorporated offshore, headquartered in the orbit of Geneva, to sell Americans' mutual funds to the world, especially to people and places US regulators do not fully reach. The sales force is the weapon. Thousands of hustlers, many recruited with that sincere rich question, trained to turn middle-class hope into monthly contributions. IOS pioneers the fund of funds, a fund that owns other funds, a Russian doll of fees. Every layer takes a cut. Every cut looks to the buyer like sophistication. The SEC smells the smoke early and fences Cornfeld out of easy US registration. So IOS lives in the gaps: Canada, Luxembourg, Panama paperwork, Swiss prestige. Lax disclosure is not a bug. It is the climate in which a $2.5 billion weather system can form. By the late 60s, Cornfeld is personally worth a fortune estimated around $100 million, living as if the brochure were the balance sheet. Business Week will call him the king of Europe's cash. The parties are legendary. The question is always the same, and it always works, because sincerity, performed well, is indistinguishable from proof. Then the market breaks. The go-go years end. Investors who bought the dream want cash. IOS share values slide from the high teens toward pocket change. Earnings that were supposed to be 30 million look more like 10. The sales machine that needed ever-rising prices to feel inevitable suddenly needs an exit. Cornfeld is forced into maneuvers to raise cash, including taking the story public in ways that only advertise the panic. The board pushes him out. The king of Europe's cash discovers what every paper empire villain eventually learns. The crowd that carried you will put you down the moment the returns stutter. Swiss authorities will later arrest him. He spends months in preventive detention. Fraud charges hang over him for years. In 1979, he is acquitted, a legal survival that is not the same thing as a redeemed empire. The company he built is already gone, hollowed by what comes next. Enter Robert Vesco, a financier with his own troubles and a predator's sense of timing. He offers to save IOS. In the chaos after Cornfeld, Vesco gains control and begins diverting hundreds of millions of dollars of IOS money into his own web of companies. Estimates of the loot run from the low hundreds of millions toward $500 million, depending on who is counting which shell. When the theft becomes impossible to hide, Vesco flees, Costa Rica first, then a long fugitive tour of friendly jurisdictions. IOS collapses in a spray of ruined banks and ruined believers. Cornfeld, the face of the sales pitch, becomes the face of the disgrace. Vesco becomes the ghost who actually emptied the vault. Cornfeld dies in London in 1995, still a punchline and a cautionary tale. The line he made famous outlives him in every boiler room and crypto discord on Earth. Do you sincerely want to be rich? The dangerous word was never rich. It was sincerely the demand that you prove desire before you are allowed to ask how the money is made.